Mark 12, starting in verse 41, tells us that one day Jesus sat down across the road from the treasury and watched the people putting their money into the trumpet-shaped receptacles on the stone wall. He saw the rich put in a lot and the poor put in a little. And then a poor woman came and she put in 2 small coins, which amount to about 1 cent. Jesus urgently called his disciples over to point her out. This woman put in more than any of the others to the treasury. They put in from their surplus, but she put in from her poverty. The woman sacrificed for God because the love for Him that was in her heart was greater than her love for anything else. He was all she cared about. Real worship is valuing God above everything else. Love and awe for Him and who He is and what He's done fills you up to the point that you can't keep it inside and it overflows out of you in some way. That is worship. We're talking about the one who looked on nothing because there was nothing there yet, and by the words of His thoughts, there was something. And not just any something, there was living and breathing men and women and animals, and there were stars burning in the unfathomable distances of space. And He gave you a world of good gifts, and this God, we betrayed Him. We loved petty things more than we love Him sometimes. But He loved you too much to leave you. He chose to suffer for you. He lived a sinless life to be yours. He died for the sins that were yours, and He rose again to give you a new life. You rejected Him as your Father, but He chose you as His child. Think on these things, and the only right reaction will be to act. To give yourself as a living sacrifice for Him. Jesus sees this woman and her offering much differently than we do. See this through the eyes of God, valuing as God does and not as the world. In the kingdom of God, we learn that people should be measured by their faith and not by their wealth, by their service and not by their popularity. Here, no one is concerned about your stuff or your money, but your love for God and your love for others. All people stand before God on equal ground. We all have nothing to offer Him, but He has given us everything. This woman's love for God overflowed out of her in the way she gave. What does your love drive you to do for God? To give, to visit, to call, to serve, to sing, to dance, to tell others about Him? James 1:27 says that religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this, to care for orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself unstained by the world. Love God and love others, and forget about the rest. That's what He wants, and that's what He deserves. Have a good week.